Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Wrestling. As by ever, joined by Tim. Hi Tim, how you doing, mate?
Oh, sir, I'm not too bad, you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. So we've just come off the back of another interesting week in WWE, especially this week's SmackDown. So we've got a lot of talking points. So where do you want to go first?
I think we better talk about War Games, or as William Regal likes to say, War Games!
Yeah, so obviously, past Monday on Raw, we had the finalisation of the men's team. But that overspilled into SmackDown, and the night started off with Cody getting attacked by a crazy Scotsman wearing the Scottish football team T-shirt, because obviously Scotland qualified for the World Cup. Drew McIntyre, what did you think of this segment?
Again, it's worth mentioning, you and I have covered everything that happened on Raw, and I said to you I was worried about the momentum. I worried that we wouldn't be able to prolong this, because I was wrong. This is a really good segment, especially with the Vision coming out first. The heat on Logan Paul was phenomenal. I think this helps keep the Vision clearly in that heel role with somebody like Logan Paul, who for some reason cannot play a face, and that's great. But that keeps them there. I also like the little reference when the Usos came out and they talked about the numbers group. It's then at which point Cody is beaten. Tell you what, if that was some makeup, it looked really good. It was some of the best. I think as well, the positioning of seeing Cody almost sprawling down over his chair was fantastic. I saw this as a great bit of television.
Yeah, I agree. I like the fact that we did actually see the attack. I like it when your imagination's left. So yeah, we've got enough bit of either real blood or makeup, enough for us to be, and Drew being so unhinged as well, for us to draw our own conclusions to what could have happened on that bus. And I think that makes it better, because then you can imagine yourself how much of a beatdown that was instead of seeing it, and it could have been a lackluster beatdown. So I think it was a great piece of TV, great imagery, and a good way to keep the momentum going, like you said.
Yeah, and again, it was really good. I liked the second part of this men's War Games build. Cody comes out and gets involved in the Bronson Reed Carmelo Hayes match, and he cuts what I considered an unhinged promo. But if you've just been beaten down, you would cut that kind of promo, because he could potentially have had a concussion or head trauma, as they might like to say, and he would come across as really almost deranged. So for me, it was really good. I like the reference that he says that the Rhodes always beat the Steiners. Love that. That was really good. And he referenced the fact that Dusty helped create the War Games, so War Games is his legacy. So well done with this one. I'm looking forward to it.
You know, I agree. I think, obviously, the internet's a different world, and some people have said it was a bit lackluster. But like you said, to get the realism, that's how you would react. I know people look at it, it's not exactly a babyface promo. As you just said, the guy's just been beaten up, could have had a concussion. Who would react after just having a beatdown? So, yeah, I totally agree. I think it was great. Like you said about the legacy, love the little fact about the Steiners. It's just, yeah, I think it was a perfect promo leading in to what's happening next week.
Yeah, and again, it's really important that the wardrobe choice, and I know it's really weird that we're talking about wrestling, but we're talking about a wardrobe choice. Cody's got a collar up, he's half tucked in. That is what you would expect. That makes you think, if you were a casual and you were just watching for this, you think, oh, so this is a serious thing. It's not like he's gone back and tucked his shirt in, pulled the collar down, put the tie on. He looks like he's been involved. So I think that's good storytelling. I still hope that either Bron Breakker or Bronson Reed pick up the win.
And keeping the momentum going, we saw the announcement that Roman Reigns will be opening up Raw later tonight. I'm quite surprised at that because, like I said last Monday, I didn't think we were seeing Roman or Brock to actual War Games. Do you think that Brock's going to make an appearance to the fact that Roman's been advertised?
Possibly. Again, conspicuous by their absence on SmackDown was Roman, Punk, and Brock. Can think for a second. Yeah, Brock, all missing. These guys are probably allowed their limited schedules. I think the fact that you're going to see Roman tells me we're probably not going to see Brock, not unless it's a sneak attack.
So you just think it's more of a Roman coming out to say that he's peed off, that Brock attacked him, and this is why he's joined the team type thing. So more of a promo than an angle.
Yeah, I think so. And what you got to remember is he and Punk stared down each other at the end of Raw.
Yeah, that was unseen footage that surfaced on the internet after Raw. Do you think then they're going to hit the sort of angle that we sort of hit last year? With that infamous moment of them in the cage, that great visual of them not really getting along. Do you think they're sort of going to hit into that again?
I think that's a possibility, and I think we might see the reverse this time around. We might see Roman come out before Punk, as if to buy into this. If the rumours are true and we do get a Punk-Roman match, that helps build the story.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And talking of the Vision, like you mentioned a minute ago, we had Bronson Reed and Carmelo Hayes face off. We spoke last week about a lot, and we feel like the younger talent are not being pushed out. This was a great showcase for them too, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And I want to say, Carmelo Hayes, flowers to you, young man. Flowers to you. He was fantastic. He looked great. He doesn't look he's that a million miles away from the main event. So I think he certainly needs some sort of program. Imagine we're going to have to go back to the Miz program at some point. Maybe we push Trick up to the main event, the main scene, and we get that program. But he needs something. I think he's ready.
Do you think this is WWE just testing the waters, putting these two newer, I know in their careers they're not newer, but for us they're newer superstars together just to start building on things, maybe getting ready for next year?
I hope so. With WWE's recent track record, I don't know. Bronson Reed has already got a victory over Roman Reigns, so he's pretty much just about there at the cusp. I think he probably, as I said, I think he or Breaker have got to take it to the next level, start cementing themselves as monster heels. And I think he's with the right person. I think keeping him with Paul Heyman as his manager is the right decision. I don't think we need to do anything too drastic. But for Carmelo Hayes, next year, I like to see him holding some form of gold, probably the US title. I think he deserves it. I think we're then maybe a year away from full-on title matches.
Heading back to War Games, we still haven't had the official confirmation of the women's teams. We now know the babyface team is going to be joined by AJ Lee. And we kind of know it's Becky, but it's not officially been announced. How did you think that angle played out over the night? Because it was a night-long storyline.
That's a very strange moment because we had Alexa and Charlotte walking around backstage, and then Alexa ushers Charlotte into a room with Rhea so they can talk it out, and then 5 or so minutes later we get a cinematic view, and I laughed because I think again WWE well produced it. I didn't think it needed to be that. You could have just had them sit down in front of that, have a camera guy go, boop, 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 and we're going. Instead, we turned it into the cinematic universe.
And it wasn't exactly a big debate. Rhea gave her reasonings and just sort of said, you're the better. And Charlotte went, okay then. So there weren't really a back and forth. It was literally, why? He gave a reasoning, and then Charlotte was like, okay. Like, they've just got to get somewhere to get to the end result, haven't they? So.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I say I found it really weird, but funny weird. I didn't at any time think, what the hell? This is just boring. I was like, what they do? Well, I'm interested to see what they're doing, but I think that's something that we have to accept from time to time. We have to go a little bit wacky to get away with it. Later on, as AJ Lee has been announced, she starts skipping down the ring, and before she hits the hillside, attack everybody else in the ring. And as AJ Lee starts to come down to the ring, Becky cuts her off. And I thought that was a really clever moment. I liked the fact that the heel team were going over. I think this almost certainly means that the faces have to win the women's match. It tells a better story for me.
Becky gave a handshake, but still not officially announced on the heel team. So we think that's obviously coming later tonight on Raw. Could WWE chuck in a last-minute swerve to make everyone think all weekend it's going to be Becky, and it's not going to be?
See that as I think we'll get swerve somewhere along the lines, but I don't think that's one. I said to you last week when we were talking about it, Becky was the answer. The feud with AJ Lee is obviously going to go a little bit further. Maybe you put a bit of gold on the line further down the line, but I don't think we need to be too worried about it at the moment. I think it makes sense. It's joining the dots, but it's the right drawing that we're getting from those dots.
And do you think, because obviously the way, like you just said, it's been set up that the faces should win the women's War Games match, that's because we're going to have a heel win in the men's?
I hope so. I really do hope so. I think they tell the best story. I think, ironically enough, I think the women's tag team division is the best tag team division in WWE at the moment. And that's because 8 women who are top of the game, and I think a lot of people sleep on Kairi Sane because I think she's great, can carry this division, and essentially areas in like the gaps that are filled within the other women's division. I think I want to mention it here. There wasn't any women's matches on SmackDown. There's this interaction, and then there's the Chelsea Green and Jay Cargill interaction. What's the story? We've been you and I have been especially me, been hyping up the women's division, and we appear to have hit like a flat note. So if these 8 women or 10 women are the ones that are going to carry us forward, like, let's tell this story.
No, I know what you're saying, and it was a bit strange because Chelsea's Green United States Championship sort of celebration was advertised as a segment that's going to happen on SmackDown, and I know WWE is subject to change, but halfway through the night, we just literally got Chelsea Green saying that's not going to happen now. And it was a bit strange because they've been advertising that all week that was going to happen, and all of a sudden they just cut it from the show. Maybe they're saving it for a big Jade Cardwell attack, but it just felt weird that was part of what was meant to be the show that stopped. Maybe things overran, I don't know, but it's just weird.
I think that's the only way we could get around it. I think that the timing issue, and that was the one thing to cut, which is a shame because again, there's that the women's presence isn't enough for it to warrant, like, I don't know the best way to describe it. The women deserve more.
Because it's War Games and they've got enough going on there, they just shelved it for now because of it would get lost in sort of all the or what's happening around the War Games matches.
We're looking at 4 matches on the War Games card at the moment. The two War Games matches, John Cena and Dominic, and Nikki and Stephanie for the women's world title. Which again, I don't think there's been enough build for this. I think we need to do more. But I mean, I think WWE need to start stepping up with the women's division a bit more. but I'm hoping that they can do more in the new year when we haven't got like loads of shows crammed together like we have done for the latter part of the year.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And then obviously there should be a segment tonight with Nikki and stuff and more. Back to SmackDown, a match that I feel like should have made it to the War Games card because it is technically Survivor Series, but it's happening on Friday instead, is the nostalgic Survivor Series match. Now, Sami Zayn cut an amazing 1980s promo. Tim, what did you think of it?
The man is cooking. I love this. I absolutely do. This hit me in a truly nostalgia gland. Not only, I'm like you, I wish it was on the main card, but at the same time, his promo felt like I was living. He did a Hulk Hogan impression, for want of a better word, and everybody around him cut that late 80s, early 90s Survivor Series type promo. I love this. This is so much fun. I hope that Sammy wins. I don't know who survives with him, but I'd like him to win. I also liked the MFT's promo that was it also felt very 80s, 90s, but it was also cut in the way in which Solo always does things, which is he sits at the table with his MFT around him, but it still felt like it had that 1980s feel. So, and they had the graphic. They had the old Survivor Series graphic at the bottom, traditional Survivor Series match. So yes, let's go with this.
The only thing that annoyed me about that graphic is we had Team Zammy versus the MFTs. I think we should have had what Sammy nicknamed his team, Zammy. But other than that, I agree with you. It was a throwback to my childhood. Hats off to Solo as well for keeping the 1980s vibe, but like I said, in the way that they always cut their promos. So I thought it was a great segment, and I'm actually looking forward to the match. And like I said, it's just a shame it's not on the actual card. But I think because they're hitting it so hard these last couple of weeks, they've just sort of run out of ways to keep the momentum going to actual War Games. So I think they just need to shut this on SmackDown to give SmackDown something to do the night before War Games.
I agree, and again, as long as the PLE doesn't end up being 4.5 hours, I'll be all right with life like that. I also think this needs the main event this week, SmackDown, without a doubt. This needs to be the last match that we see, that we've got almost like a nostalgia feel as we build up to Saturday's War Games match for me.
And I think it could be. I think you could have a couple of segments, one or two matches, and you could give them a good 40 minutes, 45 minutes. It's only a 2-hour show. So to give the majority of the second half to these guys and end it like that, I think will make a decent SmackDown leading into the PLE. So hopefully they go that route. Let's not chuck them on first. Let's give them the end of the night and just give them a decent amount of time to showcase themselves. Obviously, we had the conclusion of the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. How do you think those matches went?
They've been fantastic. As I said earlier, Carmelo Hayes has been raised far higher up on the pedestal. The matches on Raw were good. I said about Dolph Ziggler, I think he should have won, especially with Solo now involved in this feud with Sammy. I don't think we needed it. He needed the victory. That said, whatever's happening. And of course, what a main event when you've got the likes of Penta and Finn Balor, two guys who you could rely on, dare I say it, could easily be involved in the main event picture right now, and they wouldn't look out of place. So it was a really solid match. I think people sleep a little bit on Finn Balor. I think this guy is phenomenal. I'd like to see him in a more prominent role. But the same, I think, goes for Penta. I just think these are two professionals, and Penta going through to face Solar on tonight's Raw. This could be a really good match.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like Penta's presentation, as we spoke about before, but I can't deny Penta's a great wrestler. And he is getting himself involved there. And obviously, we had over the weekend reunition with Ray Phoenix at AAA, but we'll talk about that on another day. Yeah, it seems to be getting front and centre of things. And he's decent, and we've always backed the Judgment Day. We have said over the months that the Judgment Day have been the backbone of Raw. So the fact that JD McDonough, Finn Balor, you can rely on them no matter what. Once you see one of their names, you know it's going to be decent. So yeah, I agree. I think it was a great. It's a bit of weird news coming out of the tournament. Some saying it's a shoot, some saying it's a work. Sheamus being injured and being replaced in the next bracket by a mystery opponent. Do you think this is a legit injury, or do you think that someone they wanted in round one couldn't agree but has managed to work it out?
No, I think it's a legitimate injury. Because the person that Sheamus would be facing is LA Knight. And I think that had a banger written all over it. Like that's the home run every day of the week. I think this is a legitimate injury. And I've heard, and I've tried not to get into the spoiler things. I don't want to ruin tonight's reveal. But I've heard we shouldn't get our hopes up that it will be somebody who we didn't expect. It's going to be someone who's already there. But again, this does, you do feel sorry for LA Knight. He seems to be like feeling the hand of every single bad judgment at the moment.
He reminds me a bit of a Daniel Bryan past. He's got the momentum behind him, but it doesn't feel like the luck goes in his way, or the office are as convinced as the fans are. And that's the feel. And I do feel sorry for him because, like you said, he does show up. He's a company guy and he gives his all. Okay, some of his promos ain't great, but it's live TV and sometimes it happens. But he's a solid guy and he's a guy that's going to do whatever you ask him to do. So I do feel sorry for him as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. Part of me would have liked to have seen him in the War Games. I think he'd have excelled in that kind of match. He feels almost like, maybe this is hyperbole, he feels a little bit like Austin did in about 97, where whatever you give him, he makes work, but you can't push him any further because everybody at the top, like, it doesn't make sense.
He needs that standout promo like Austin had Austin 316. He needs that moment to elevate him.
Yeah, he's, as I say, I think he's ready. Just small margins. He needs the program that will kick him on. And one final thing that is definitely worth mentioning is the US Open. I think Ilya Dragunov is continuing this like John Cena did 10 years ago when Sammy was there. What a match. What an absolute diamond of a match. Two guys go through. And JD McDonough, oh my God. Look, he's another guy that could easily be an Intercontinental Champion, and I wouldn't argue with that. His Spanish fly from a off-the-rope lariat was chef's kiss, shall we say. What an absolute amazing match.
Do you think with obviously the solo showings that JD and Finn showed this past week, do we need to break up the Judgment Day now so they can go off and get into those programs, or do you think they can do it under the umbrella of the Judgment Day?
I think you could get away with it without breaking them up. I see a Dominic split, but I don't think you need to break them up. I think they can do their own thing and it'd still be fine.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And before we wrap up, obviously we've got that question that we always ask. Who's been your top talent of the week and what's been your match of the week?
Well, I'll go with the match as we've just spoken about it. I recommend anybody sit and watch Ilya Dragunov and JD McDonough. It is it's a hard-hitting, solid match. I loved it. I think this is really good and we're telling good stories. As for star of the week, this one's a tougher one for me. I'm going to go with... I feel like we're getting near it. I'm going to go with John Cena because, again, he's the match on Raw felt really fun. And when I watch wrestling, part of me wants to be entertained like that.
Well, Tim, it was an interesting week, especially SmackDown. We were a bit worried about it was going to be a bit lackluster, but I think it elevated the storylines and showed some great talents. Guys, if you've got an opinion of this week's show, please leave your comments below. Hit that subscribe and all that stuff. And join us on Wednesday for our question of the week. Tim, have a good couple of days, mate. I'll see you soon.
See you soon, and I'll see you on Wednesday for our question.